Welcome to the visualization video presentation. We'll go ahead and open the file that you created in Module 1. Then go to the South view and create a callout. In the View tab, you can pick Callout and create a callout for just the second floor. Then go to the 3D view. Let's duplicate this 3D view and then rename that new view 3D second floor. Pick OK. In this view, rest your pointer on the view cube and right-click, go to Orient to View and over to Elevations and pick Callout South. You'll see the callout in 3D. You can then use the view cube to pick the top right corner to see the southeast isometric view. Use here the section box to control how much of this view is showing, including the height of that callout, so that we can see inside just that second floor. In the Manage tab, we're going to use phase filters. We'll pick the phase icon. To create a phase filter in the Phase Filter tab called Abstract for a new rendering look, we'll pick the new icon and rename this filter Abstract. Then change the new and existing columns to overridden so that we can change the graphics, and the demolished and temporary to not displayed. Now in the Graphic Overrides tab, we'll change the material by selecting this small icon inside the material box. We'll first duplicate this material and call it Abstract. Pick OK. Then in the Render Appearance tab, we're going to replace the generic with the ceramic tile material. That's the 1-inch square ivory, and then pick OK. We'll also change the finish to matte. Pick OK and then change the new face to Abstract. So now you've created a phase filter called Abstract for the new and the existing elements, and those two have a material abstract. I'll go ahead and pick OK. In this view, we'll go to Properties and also change that phase filter to Abstract. Pick Apply. And now we're ready to render this view. We'll pick the teacup icon at the bottom left and we'll verify some of the settings so that we have similar defaults. We'll use medium setting for the quality. We'll keep here the screen resolution is screen and the exterior sun only. Pick the icon with the three little dots here next to the sun setting so that you can see that we're creating a still solar study. The location is still the Troy location that we established in this file, and we can change the date to September 25th and the time to 1:00 p.m. to give us more shadows in our rendering. We'll pick OK and then pick Render. If you'd like to see how much time that it takes to render, take the check mark out at the bottom left corner of Close Dialog Box when rendering is complete so that you don't miss the time, because at the end of the rendering it's going to come out of the dialog box. I'm going to pause the video for a minute and then continue after the rendering. Now that we have our abstract rendering, we can pick Save to Project at the bottom left corner of the rendering dialog box and call this Abstract Rendering. Pick OK and you'll see it in the project browser. We'll pick Show Model and then close out of the rendering dialog box. Now let's take a look at creating filters to change the graphics for a 2-hour rated wall. We can type in VG, and in the Filters tab of the Visibility Graphics Overrides, we can pick Add, and then Edit and New. And here in the Filters dialog box, pick at the bottom left corner the New icon. We can just type in Rated Wall, and then for the category, pick Walls. The filter rules are going to apply to the fire rating, and it's going to equal 2. Pick OK, and then highlight Rated Wall. If you don't highlight Rated Wall, it won't be created as a new filter. Highlight Rated Wall and pick OK. Now for that new filter called Rated Wall, we can change the pattern color to red. And the pattern itself to a solid fill and pick OK. Let's also make the cut pattern red so that the top of our walls turn red also. Changing the color to red and the pattern to solid fill, pick OK, and then pick OK again. If we select this wall and then pick Edit Type, duplicate that wall, calling it Generic 8-inch Masonry Firewall, and pick OK. Then here under Identity Data, for the fire rating, we're going to put the number 2 and pick OK. You'll see that the wall changes its graphics because it's looking for the filter that has a fire rating of 2, and that filter has the colors established. If we type in VG, you'll see that under the Filters tab, if I pick Add and Edit and New, we use the default filter Fire Rating, but you could pick more parameters and establish a project parameter, giving you more choices in what your filter rules might be. I'll cancel out of all of these. If we turn shading with edges and shadows on, the rendering is dark. Going into the graphic display options gives you the choice of changing the sun intensity to 100. If you pick Apply, you'll see that it starts to lighten the view. We can even adjust the cast shadows to a lighter intensity. Pick Apply. If we take the cast shadows out and then pick in front of ambient occlusion, which is a shading method that illuminates at points around the geometry, when you pick Apply, you'll see that it adds realism to local reflections. You'll notice the darker shading at the wall edges. If you put a check mark in front of gradient background and change the ground color to black and pick Apply, you'll see that just the bottom part is turning black, but if we continue to change the horizon color to black and pick Apply, it appears to have the entire background is black, but when I pick OK and orbit to look at the sky, it still shows part of the sky as having the default color. So going back to the graphic display options, you have the choice of also changing the sky color to black. Notice that the section box is still here. If we take the check mark out of section box and pick Apply, we'll see that the whole model appears. I'm going to go ahead and do an undo to get that back. One way to turn the section box display off so that you don't turn off its limits is to type in VG and in the Annotation Category tab, scroll down to Section Boxes and take the check mark out in front of section boxes. For this view, we'll go ahead and pick OK. And now you won't see that extra line here. As a choice, you could go to the application menu and export this image as a JPEG file, picking in front of visible portion of current window, and then once you pick OK, it creates an image in this folder. I'm going to cancel out of this dialog box. Let's go to the second floor construction and take a look at creating a camera for this room. We can go to the drop down here in the quick access toolbar and pick camera. Another place would be to go to the view tab. Under 3D view, we could pick camera. And then where you place the camera is where you're standing, pulling my mouse away from that point to establish a target. A new view is created. You can use these small grips to crop the image. Go to the View tab. If you pick Tile, you'll see all of the views that you have open. We're going to close all of the views except for the second floor plan and this camera view. Then you can pick Tile again to have them side by side. When I pick the camera frame, I can see the camera in the plan. So now I can adjust either the camera by dragging it back a little bit further. In the perspective view, I can pick the steering wheel and use some of these tools that are in the inside circle, like moving the view up and down. If I hold my left mouse button down, I can go up, top, and bottom. Or when you hold your left mouse button down where it says look, you can look around in that camera view. You can walk towards the window and back away from the window, changing here the view to adjust what you actually see in the camera. I'll close out of the steering wheel, and now in the plan we'll move this table and then start bringing other pieces of furniture and lights into this room. We'll load the families that we want to use by going to the Insert tab and picking Load Families. Let's go to the Furniture folder, and we'll bring the chair Corbu in, and then highlight Shelving and pick Open. We also will pick the Load Family icon and go to Lighting Fixtures. There are so many to choose from. I'll go ahead and pick a floor lamp that's a stand-up floor lamp and a pendant light linear 1 lamp. Go ahead and pick Open. I also posted a flower family that you can load. You can pick Load Family and navigate over to the folder that you downloaded it in from Blackboard. Now we can go to the Home tab and under Component, pick Place a Component. In Properties, you'll see that flower that you just loaded. You can then change the offset to 1 foot 4 inches, which will be the top of this table. In the second floor plan, we can place it on the table. We'll be able to see it in the rendering. Use your Escape key or click Modify to clear it. You can select the flower and use your arrows on the keyboard to move it over if you'd like to try to center it a little bit better in the table. Then continue with other components until you have a rendering that looks like this one. I added the shelves and a lamp, the floor lamp, and the Corbu chairs. And now if you need to rotate a chair, you can use the rotate tool to rotate it slightly and then move it. If you need to move it up a little bit closer and kind of position it next to the other one for your design. Now we're ready to place the ceiling light. We can go to the ceiling plan for the second floor and then go to Component and place a component. Find the loaded pendant lamp. Here we'll use the 96H 120 volt and place it in your room. I can then move it back a little bit further so that it can illuminate the bookshelf. Closing out of the ceiling plan, and in the second floor plan, I'm going to create a section in the View tab so that I can see this wall. Then double click on the section mark, and if you'd like, you can use these grip handles to crop your view to the second floor. You can then see here the light fixtures and the shelves. We're going to add a decal. If we go to the Insert tab, we can load an image into our file and then use it as a painting. We can go to Insert Decal Types in the bottom left corner, pick Create New Decal. Give that decal a name. I'll call it Photo 1 and pick OK. It's your choice what photo you use. Go ahead and use your own. Continue to pick Create New Decal and then name your photos 1, 2, and 3, and go ahead and use your own photos and pick OK. And then here in the section we can pick Decal and Place Decal. In the properties you can decide on your photo 1, 2, and 3, and in the options bar you can change the width and the height. Using realistic shading at the bottom left corner will give you an idea of what your decals look like. Once you have them in place, you can close out of the section view. You'll see the boxes that are represented here on the wall for those pictures. And then in the plan, we'll draw another section that looks at the other wall, and we'll open that section. You can crop it if you'd like. We don't need to. What we need to do is look at the second floor section. We're starting to see the different elements in place. We can go to Insert and Decal, Place Decal, and I'll use a smaller one to put on the wall here, but remember you can change the width and the height. Close out of this second section and the second floor so that we can maximize the perspective view and take a look at rendering.